Story 1. Room 19. The smell that stayed 2:14 a.m. motel hallway, a fresh trail of perfume drifts from a locked, empty room. I checked out of room 19 just before dawn. The client had left hours earlier, quiet, polite, gone without a trace except the faint shimmer of perfume still folded into the sheets. The manager slid the key across the counter like it was heavier than brass. By nightfall, I was back for another booking. Same hallway. Same door closed tight. The corridor breathed warm air that smelled faintly of her, fresh, floral, a little too alive for an empty room. My shoulders nearly brushed the wallpaper as I passed. Dust glittered under the exit sign. For a second, the light caught the outline of a mouth on the frosted glass, drawn only by shadow and scent. I told myself to keep walking, but the habit of order pulled me back. The room number hung slightly crooked. I straightened it. My fingers brushed the cold metal, then the door frame, warm as if someone had just leaned there. When I adjusted my collar, the fabric scraped my neck, and for a moment I could swear the warmth wasn't mine. From inside, the bathroom vent hummed, soft static, uneven. I leaned closer to listen. That's when I heard it, a murmur too close to be air. It shaped my name, slow and uncertain, like someone trying the taste of it. The sound stopped when I whispered hello, but the warmth stayed against my ear, breathing nothing at all. Morning came gray and silent. The room across the hall had been cleaned, door propped open, blinds half drawn. I passed by once, twice, and stopped pretending I wasn't looking. On the sink sat a small glass bottle, pale pink inside, cap turned slightly askew. No one claimed it. No tag. Just that same perfume, too familiar to ignore. When I reached for it, the bottle slid an inch across the porcelain as if pulled by my hesitation. My knee brushed the counter. The echo felt like a pulse. I told myself it was gravity, a trick of condensation, but the air pressed close, humid, scented, expectant. Beneath it all, the vent whispered again. That night I dreamed of her sitting on the bed, hair falling over one eye. When I woke, a strand clung to my sleeve, too fine to be mine. I brushed it away, but my skin prickled where it had touched. The air smelled of something newly sprayed, sweet and deliberate. I whispered her name, though she'd never told it to me. The room held its breath. Even the vent had stopped. My own breathing filled the space, measured, uneven. Every sound waited for the next. Then, silence so deep it almost bent the light. I stood there, unsure if I was listening to the room or if the room was listening back. By the third night, the bottle had moved again. Just a few inches, enough to notice, never enough to prove. I left it by the faucet, returned after my shift, and found it centered on the sink, cap loosened. The scent clung to the mirror, soft at first, then sharp, like memory turned physical. I touched the glass. It felt warm, almost damp, as if someone had just breathed there. When I washed my hands, the smell didn't fade. It sank deeper, wrapping my wrist in something invisible yet heavy. I rubbed until the skin flushed, but the heat only spread. Even after I stepped outside, the night carried it with me, a warmth that shouldn't travel, a trace that felt like possession. I went back inside and lifted the bottle. The liquid trembled though my hand was steady. Behind it, the mirror clouded, one exhale not mine. The reflection leaned closer, lips parting where no mouth should move. The whisper brushed my ear, slow, soft, inside my name. Have you ever caught a scent that felt like it remembered you? Morning erased everything. The sheets smelled of bleach. The mirror was clean. Even the bottle looked untouched, capped tight. I told myself it was finished until the sun hit my wrist, and the perfume bloomed again, faint but stubborn, as if the air itself had learned her skin. I didn't wash it off. Not that day. Not since. Story 2. The linen room, 1 p.m., motel laundry, the air thick with mixed detergents and perfume not on record. The laundry hums behind the motel's yellow windows, air heavy with detergent and old heat. I clock in, tie my apron, and open the dryer marked room 6. The smell hits first, not soap, not bleach, but something human. Expensive. Smell. I checked the logbook. That room hasn't been used in 3 days. When I pull the first sheet free, it exhales, a small warm breath against my wrist. For a second I think it's steam, but the dryers have been off 10 minutes. The fabric's cool. The scent lingers, fresh as if someone just passed behind me, shoulders almost touching. The air thickens with that perfume newly passed, and the light sketches the curve of my mouth on the metal door. I smooth the edge of the sheet and notice a crease that shouldn't be there, like fingers had held it too long before letting go. When I reach to fix it, my thumb grazes something warm beneath the fold. A fingertip. Or maybe just static from the fabric. Still, I adjust the collar of my uniform to steady my breath. The cotton feels too close, brushing my neck as if watched. A whisper rides the hum of the machines, low, drawn out, inside the ear instead of around it. My name. Soft enough to sound imagined. I turn, expecting the supervisor or a guest who wandered in, but the doorway's empty. The scent deepens, pressing near my jaw. Every word I try to say ends up trapped in the warmth of my own breathing. I shake out another sheet, trying to blame the smell on leftover fabric softener. The tag flutters like a tongue, damp from steam that shouldn't exist. When I fold it, the air shifts, something heavier than breath moves with it. The ceiling fan catches the perfume and spins it slow, making every corner of the room feel occupied. Under the sorting table, a corner of linen brushes my knee. I think it's fallen cloth until I feel pressure. Light, intentional, unhurried. The contact stays just long enough to make my pulse trip. I lift the fabric, nothing there. But my leg remembers the warmth, and the perfume sits at the back of my throat, too close to swallow. I kneel to stack towels and a strand of hair slips forward. Before I can tuck it behind my ear, something else does. Slow, careful, like someone tracing permission. My skin tightens, goosebumps running under the uniform sleeve. The air is wet with detergent and the faint sweetness of perfume freshly passed, as if a breath had just rehearsed my name there. The dryers finish one by one, leaving a silence that hums louder than noise. I stop folding. The room feels awake. My own breathing counts seconds I didn't ask for. Across the counter, the pile of clean sheets seems to lean toward me. The light flickers once. The scent hangs still, too human to belong to fabric. When I start the last load, the vent above me exhales. Warm air slides down my neck, carrying the same cologne, sharper now like heat from skin. I glance up, half expecting to see a face pressed to the grate. Instead, the vent trembles once and goes still. The smell keeps moving though, drifting toward the lockers where I left my bag. I follow it, slow, careful. My hand hovers on the locker handle. The metal's warm, almost pulsing. I open it and the scent bursts out, filling the hallway like someone just stepped through. On the top shelf, a folded towel waits, corners perfect. When I touch it, a faint heat clings to my fingers, and a whisper low as breath, "Don't stop folding." The lights dim once, then hold. I back into the supply closet and twist the lock. Shelves press close, the smell of starch and metal heavy around me. Something shifts behind the mops. A towel drops, fresh, white, too clean. My name is printed on the corner tag. I don't remember ordering it. I don't remember breathing that loud. The whisper comes again, right at my ear, warm, almost kind. "Would you wash the sheets again, if they called your name?" When I wake, I'm home. The alarm blinks 3:11 a.m. and the room is still. For a second I think it was a dream until the air moves, slow, invisible, and the same cologne rises from my pillow. It smells recent. Familiar. I pull the blanket to my chin and stare at the door, afraid to check if it's locked, or if someone else has already folded it for me. Story 3. Check-in at dusk, sunset hour, reception desk, key tag number 7, sweating perfume oil. The sun was sliding behind the gas station sign when I pulled into the motel. Half the letters on the neon board were gone, but the word IN still flickered like an instruction. I wasn't staying, just a delivery, a quick signature, a key handoff. Still, something about the color of the light made the parking lot feel expectant. Inside, the air smelled of lemon cleaner and something sweeter, more human. The clerk leaned over the counter, her sleeve brushing mine as she searched the drawer. Our shoulders almost touched. I could feel the perfume, fresh, recent, like it hadn't settled yet. The light from the window traced the shape of her mouth when she finally smiled and set the tag on the desk. Room 7. The metal key pressed against my palm, faintly warm as if it had been waiting for a pulse. I adjusted the collar of my shirt before signing the logbook. The pen scratched unevenly, my hand brushed hers. A small rasp of fabric, warm, deliberate, not enough to be a mistake. The key tag trembled against the countertop, its chain humming like it remembered a wrist. She didn't pull away, she only watched the name form, her eyes reflecting the orange dusk outside. Room 7's at the end, she said, voice low, too near. Each word landed behind my ear instead of in front of me. Her breath carried the same sweetness as the perfume, but softer, like it had been filtered through cotton. For a second I forgot to step back. The sound of my own pulse filled the silence between us, sinking to something deeper in the walls. The hallway smelled like rain on metal, though the pavement outside was dry. A hum followed me from the lobby, low, rhythmic, almost polite. I tried to tell myself it was the ice machine or the compressor behind the wall. The door to room 7 waited at the far end, the number tilting slightly, as if someone had knocked too hard once and it never quite recovered. I sat on the edge of the bed to check my phone. No service. The hum slipped under the floorboards, matching the rhythm in my chest. When I leaned to plug the charger, my knee brushed the nightstand, then another knee, not mine. It didn't move away. The contact was light, steady, like someone testing how real I was. I looked, nothing there. Just the faint scent of her perfume, new again. The mirror above the desk caught a sliver of my face, and something behind it, a blurred shoulder that moved when I did. I reached up to brush a strand of hair from my forehead, half to prove I still had control of my hands. My fingertips met skin cooler than I expected. A pulse of air passed over my neck, gentle, questioning. The space smelled of perfume freshly pressed from a sleeve. The hum quieted. The room listened. Even the clock forgot to tick. I sat there, breathing shallow, hearing her breath, or mine, fold into the same rhythm. The air thickened until the silence seemed to lean against my lips. I didn't speak. Neither did she, or it, or whatever filled the small amber room. Somewhere inside that pause, the metal key on the table shivered once, like it wanted to turn itself. When the lights blinked back on, the television played nothing but static. Then footage. The lobby camera feed. I was in it, standing at the counter, still holding the key. But the timestamp looped backward, rewinding in slow frames until the image of me was already walking down the hallway. Every time I blinked, it jumped. Frame. Me. Inside. Again. I reached for the key where it lay beside the remote. The metal was warmer now, alive with a faint pulse that beat once for every thud in my chest. When I set it down, the heat clung to my skin, the smell of her perfume fresh and wrong, like it had just been pressed into the tag. The mark it left glowed for a second, a tiny halo that refused to cool. The hallway stretched too long when I tried to leave. Every door I opened led back to another version of the same one. Room 7, the same bed, the same key glinting on the table. A whisper brushed my ear from behind, almost kind. I didn't write down what it said. The echo came from the far end of the hall, where no one stood. My reflection in the brass number exhaled before I did. I must have blacked out somewhere between the doors. Morning found me in the driver's seat, engine off, sky pale. On the dashboard sat the motel key, damp with scent, tag still warm against the vinyl. I didn't see the clerk again or the motel when I turned to look, just open road and sun. Still the warmth wouldn't fade. Would you turn the key, if it still felt warm from another hand? Story 4. Behind the mirror, midnight. The motel mirror fogged from breath I hadn't taken. The bathroom was smaller than memory should allow. Yellow light hummed above the cracked glass, the kind that keeps humming even when switched off. I checked my pulse because the mirror already held soft ovals of fog, proof of breathing I hadn't done. Our shoulders had almost touched there once. Now it showed only me, framed by damp tiles. Still, a trace lingered in the air, perfume freshly passed, faint jasmine. I leaned closer. The light drew her mouth over mine, a contour that wasn't there. The silence waited, holding its next inhale. I adjusted my collar, nervous habit or maybe hope. My fingers brushed the fabric, still warm from the drive, and for a second it felt like someone else's pulse beneath. The mirror copied me late, a half second slower, the delay smooth enough to be deliberate. Then she spoke, or the glass did. The voice came too close, sliding into my ear with a warm breath that didn't belong in this air. "Still here?" it murmured. The fog trembled. Her outline leaned nearer, lips forming words my side couldn't find. I told myself it was condensation, nothing else. I even laughed, quiet, dry, pretending the glass wasn't breathing for us both. But the air had shifted, heavier, touched with jasmine, the kind that clings after leaving. I sat on the counter edge, the mirror tilted slightly, catching my knee. Her knee met mine in the reflection and didn't pull away. A tremor of warmth crossed the divide between us. My pulse timed itself to hers, or its echo, and the crack along the glass deepened by a thread. A strand of hair fell across my eyes. I reached to move it, and saw her hand rise first, brushing it aside in my place. The touch was tender, practiced. The skin beneath my temple tingled, a shiver of memory waking where none should be. Then everything stilled. The room listened. Even the bulb dimmed, as if the air itself were holding breath. Our twin respirations overlapped, one real, one echo. The mirror no longer waited, it led. And I followed, afraid to break the rhythm. The fog cleared on its own. Two figures now, mine and hers, standing almost aligned yet not quite. She moved half a second later, like memory lagging behind reality. I whispered her name before remembering I shouldn't, and the sound came back through the glass, slower, sweeter, unfinished. When she stepped back, heat lingered on my skin where no one had touched me. The air carried that perfume again, stronger, impossible. I turned away for breath. When I looked back, the mirror was flawless. No fog, no crack, no delay. Only the smell that refused to leave. The glass brightened as if lit from inside. She leaned close, too close, and I felt warm breath slide along my neck. Her lips shaped my name in that same slow voice I'd once known, but the sound came from behind me, not from the mirror. I didn't turn. I couldn't tell which side she was on. If your reflection whispered, would you lean closer, or look away? Morning found the mirror spotless. No crack, no haze. Just sunlight through the blinds, showing half the bed untouched. The other half still held a hollow warmth, and the faint scent of jasmine, patient as memory, waiting for the next breath that wasn't mine. Story 5. Parking lot frequency 3 a.m., empty motel parking lot, static smelling faintly of her perfume. 3 a.m. again. The motel parking lot looked rinsed in rust under the sodium lamp. One car, one heartbeat. I stayed inside mine, engine off, windows half fogged. Her room light had gone dark 15 minutes ago. I should have driven off, but silence in that place felt like someone listening back. The seat beside me still held a trace of her perfume, clean, new, with that faint sweetness that hides metal underneath. My shoulder brushed the passenger seat as I adjusted the radio dial. Static breathed through the speakers, soft and wet around the edges. For a moment, the noise almost shaped itself into the rhythm I'd just left upstairs, then vanished when I blinked. I leaned forward, trying to catch the signal again. The dial trembled beneath my fingertips, a soft rasp, warm from the lingering heat of her body. I caught myself tracing the edge of the knob longer than necessary, like the motion itself remembered her skin. The air felt heavier, as if the car wanted to keep her in it. Then, between two stations, a sound slid through, low, slow, unmistakably human. A breath. Female. The way she used to speak too close, letting her voice end against my ear. It came again, synced to the rise and fall I'd memorized upstairs. The static seemed to lean toward me, whispering her absence into shape. I told myself it was bleed through from some late-night show, a trick of overlapping frequencies. Still I kept listening. The sound pulsed faintly beneath the static, too steady to be chance. I could almost time my breathing to it, though it made me dizzy to try. The dashboard light painted my hands in red, like they'd been caught touching something I shouldn't. A haze spread across the windshield, thin at first, then blooming from the inside. I wiped at it, but the glass stayed cloudy, warmth radiating toward me. Two prints formed in the mist, palms outward, as if someone faced me from the hood. The air thickened. A strand of hair brushed my sleeve, light as static. I didn't move. The radio exhaled once, matching me exactly. A loose strand clung to my wrist. I don't know how it got there, too long to be mine, too deliberate to be wind. I lifted it carefully, meaning to drop it away, but the movement stirred the air. The scent rose again, sharper now, like the moment before skin warms. My pulse tripped. The radio crackled as if it heard it too. I turned the volume down. The car answered with its own quiet, a dense, living hush. The motel's neon hum faded behind it, leaving only breath and static circling each other. Every sound I made felt borrowed. I stopped breathing just to test the silence, and still something inhaled from the passenger side. The radio hissed again, louder this time, the kind of volume you don't remember turning up. Beneath it, that breathing took on shape. Shallow, urgent, almost beside my cheek. I whispered her name without meaning to, and the static paused, holding its breath like it was waiting for me to continue. Then a soft click, as if someone inside the speaker adjusted position. Heat spread along my neck. I turned, no one. But the seat beside me shimmered faintly, the air above it moving like from a slow exhale. A darker patch glowed where her head had rested earlier. My hand hovered there, warmth pressed back, human and steady. When I pulled away, the scent clung to my skin, impossible to wash off even in the cold. The radio went quiet, but the air didn't. A whisper brushed my ear, too close, low enough that my breath caught mid-draw. The sound came from behind me, soft consonants blurred by warmth. I froze. The leather seat behind creaked as if someone leaned forward, patient, unseen. My reflection in the windshield didn't match my stillness. When I turned, the passenger door hung half open. A small perfume bottle sat upright on the seat, beads of condensation tracing its curve. Outside nothing moved. Inside, her scent thickened until the static began again on its own, slow and rhythmic, almost breathing. If a voice came back through the static, would you answer her?